Hello, my name is Variety Chenevert. I grew up as Rosalyn in Detroit, Michigan. I recently found out today that there's a death certificate saying that I am deceased in Detroit. I am not deceased. I am well and alive, doing very well in life. I'm happy. I'm not worried about this death certificate, nor am I scared of anyone. I don't know why this is going on. I've been having weird people trying to track down stuff with bank accounts and things like that, so on and so forth. I moved away from Detroit, Michigan in 1992 with my daughter to California, which was a plan for me to go to college, which is not unusual. That's what people do when they're in high school. They go to their counselors to have a plan for their future. That's what I did. And I carried out that plan, and I moved to Grand Rapids in 86 to have my daughter, in 87, and then after that I relocated sometime in 92 after I attended college and became a news reporter in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I relocated to California in 1992, and I went to college to UCLA, and then I wrote some film scripts, so on and so forth. Dance and music videos and whatever else came along with the career that I wanted to do. Nothing pornographic or anything like that. However, I just wanted to say that I know that there are family members who want to do a movie on Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard was loved by many people, and then again, she might not have recognized some of the signs of maybe some of her closest enemies. Who knows? But the one thing that I want to tell those who are the new generation is that I know what I went through. I was there the morning that she was found in the living room. I was there with other children, and I don't know what story you were giving, but all I can do is give you my version. Basically, it was a long night. She was there at a home with other women. There were men downstairs in the basement, and there were equipment downstairs in this basement, and we were upstairs playing in the house. After a while, the noise got louder and louder and louder, which sounded like an argument. She was dragged out of the side door of the house with herself, Diana, and some other women. It was late at night. It was pitch black. The driveway was pitch black. We, the kids, came outside, stood in the driveway, and all we could hear was screaming. We had screams coming from, we don't know which house it was, but we heard the screams all night long. It was like terror. But when the voices got loud the first time, we started approaching, going down the stairs. And then the voice said, one of the ladies, I can't remember if it was Florence or if it was Diana, who said, "Go back upstairs, you guys go back upstairs and get in the bed." We did that. So we went to bed, and then next thing you know, later on, a little while longer, we just heard all this commotion coming up the stairs. They were being dragged from the basement out the door into a car, and then the car was gone. We were in the home alone by ourselves. No one else was in the home with us. We got in the bed. We couldn't do anything. We were kids. We didn't know if they were going to come back or not. And basically, we got back in the bed. We went to sleep. We got up in the morning, and she was in the living room with a white sheet on and naked. I can't tell you what happened to Diana because I don't know. All I can tell you is that I kneeled down next to her, and I just put my hands on her hair, and I rubbed her. The other children that were in the house with me were crying. They cried all night. I had to comfort everyone to keep them from crying and just say everything is going to be okay. I didn't know what to do. I was a kid. I couldn't have been no more than 7 or 8 years old myself. We were there all morning. We called family. I called family, rather. I called family. Some of the lines were busy because back then they didn't have a two-way calling. They didn't have a call waiting. The lines were busy all morning. I finally got through to one of the sisters, and I let her know that we needed help. We were there all morning. No one came to help us. No one came to assist us. By the time I decided to finally call for more help, which is when I decided to say, okay, it's dark now. We were there all morning from daytime to nighttime. And if I had known that no one was going to come to our rescue to help us in that house, I would have dialed 0 a long time ago. Back then, it wasn't 911, it was 0. I finally decided to dial 0 for help, contact the operator, let her know where I was at or where we were at, and then the police came. The police came in the door. They opened up the door on their own. Her sister came in with the police, and the police said, how long have these kids been in the house by themselves? We went to the hospital with her in the ambulance. I stood next to her at her bedside. She could barely talk. I went home to my grandmother's house or my aunt's house, and about 11 o'clock in that morning, the next day, they got a call from the hospital and she was deceased. That's all that I can tell you that happened. That's all that I know. I don't know who the men were. I don't remember them. I don't remember what happened to Diana either. I do remember going to the funeral. I do remember going to the funeral and I was angry. And I remember saying that to someone, how come you didn't come when I called you? And I said that about 3 times. And then I went and sat down. I walked past her casket, saw the bruises on her legs and everything. I don't know what happened, but I do recollect we did have a wait. There was a wait, I believe either earlier that morning or the day before, and there was another woman who was dressed in a light blue chiffon dress, and she was in her casket. I'm not going to make any kind of emphasis on who she was, because according to history, this woman has been on stage singing for many years. So I'm not going to make any kind of uncertain allegations, I would say. But all I know is that I can tell you what I saw. And there wasn't just one casket. There were other caskets. And basically, I can just leave it at that. We went through a lot and over the years, and in the 70s, there were more than one funeral that we've been to in our lives, and they were painful and painful memories. For me, the last ending in the hours of Florence Ballard life, for me, was painful for the fact that I was a child. I couldn't help her. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything but call for help. I couldn't pick her up. I couldn't do anything. I was a kid. We were all kids. I don't know what more people want. There have been different versions about Florence and her life made over the years through movies, through Dream Girls, through just Frankie and Alice movie with Halle Berry, just Star, just a lot of different versions of what happened. I know she has grandchildren, And all I can say to you is that you can't bring her back. She did live her life. She did live a good life. The last few years of her life might not have been the greatest. She did have children that she loved. And, she didn't know everything about show business that maybe could have prevented some things. I don't know what went on with Motown and her and Berry Gordy or anyone else. I was a child. But what I can tell you is that she lived a good life. Her, Mary, Diana, all did. They traveled the world. They went to Europe. They went to places that was far beyond the ghetto and the projects. The only thing that I can suggest to you is to live your life now. Live your life to the greatest and to fullest. And do what she did. Do what they did. Live your dreams. Make your dreams come true and become successful yourself. If you're in the projects, get out the projects. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to live the life that other people have. You don't have to become a gang member or anything. Do you. We all have our own journey in life. You can be anything you want to be in life. You continuing on living in the past of what she went through and what happened to her, it won't change much. Just set her spirit free and let her know that you love her. She knows that you love her. But you need rest now. And the best thing you can do for her now is to let her see you become successful. She hasn't left you or us or anyone that loved her forever. She's still nearby. And all you can do is talk to her now in the spirit. And she will get you the help that she needs. Don't have anger or animosity. Be successful. Carry on the legacy of the Supremes, of Florence, of Motown. Those opportunities that they got at the record label of Motown, who would have given them that opportunity back then in the 60s with all that's gone on? Berry Gordy did the best he could to get these young black men and women out of the projects, out of the city, and to become successful. We heard stories about the mafia, so on and so forth. But he did not let that stop him, his vision or anything. I know not one person can do everything, but you all are your own person. You can make your own dreams come true and come alive and succeed. That's all you can do now is carry on the legacy of what was lived. Live and let live and just move forward. I know it's not easy. It may seem hard sometimes. I know you may cry sometimes. But when you look at the newspaper articles, look at that she's seeing Queen Elizabeth and all these different people around the world that love them all and applaud them all so much. You all can step on the stage and be applauded and do something successful as well. It doesn't have to be show business. Today I'm into real estate. I'm into interior designing. I sing every now and then. I've danced in music videos. I wrote movies. I wrote Set It Off. And I also had something to do with Booty Call. Those were my films. They got stolen too. But I'm not crying about it. And the reason why I'm not worried about it is because it got made. It got made anyway, and it made history. It took me 6 months to get those films out. And that was one of my first films in film school, which were my film assignments in film school, to pitch my film at New Line Cinema. It made nearly $100 million. It grossed over $60 million worldwide. And it didn't take me a year to do it. So you can do the same thing. What I've done, anyone can do, basically. You put your mind to it and just be focused. Stay focused. I didn't have to use no one's name to get my films out there. It was all my own creativity and imagination. And a little help, well, I would say a lot of help, from Takashi Buffer, who was my manager in representation at the time, who I met in West Hollywood, California, And then he later on came over to my home, and then, he said, I can get this deal for you. And the rest is history. But those things happen sometimes. You have to be prepared when you're in show business or any business. You have to be prepared in your contracts. I wasn't quite prepared quite yet. I had my documents in the making and some documents done, but not everything fulfilled. Since sometimes you will get cheated. But like I say, I did make history anyway. And that made me feel good. Still anyway. Because some filmmakers or screenwriters never get their movies done. They're still taking 20 and 30 and 40 years to get their first film. And mine finally happened. Less than a year. So I was grateful and I was blessed. So all I can say to you is just keep moving forward. Keep getting educated. To do what you have to do. Raise your family. You don't have to live in Detroit forever. You can move on and find new opportunities, doors to open, and you can create jobs for yourself, become entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. But you can use the past as a way of saying, that was my aunt, that was my mother, that was my grandmother, and just be happy that it happened. And I love you all, and I'm not afraid of anything or anybody. I'm living my life like I've always have, and all I can say is I'm not dead. Whatever that death certificate is, I'm going to look into it further, and I'm going to sue whoever did it for fraud, and I'm going to put them in the penitentiary. I have a lot going on in my life, and there are family members that I rarely saw growing up. Sometimes I did. Sometimes we have family reunions, and those who I was around really didn't want to be bothered. So you have to move on with your life. You know what I'm saying? My daughter and I moved out to California. People didn't call us. They didn't visit us. They didn't send us Christmas gifts, presents, or anything. Some of you were Jehovah's Witness. But life goes on. I felt like at one point with Florence that she had a lot of brothers and sisters. How come no one came to the rescue? There are a lot of things that I thought over and over and over again. But like I said, that's the past now. Let it rest in peace. You move forward in your life and your journey. The best way for me to get over a lot of things in my life is that I started studying Taoism and Buddhism because it deals with healing and prosperity. And I suggest that you start reading those type of books on healing and prosperity and move on and be free. Thank you.